As sports shift to streaming with more exclusive deals involving the NFL and MLS, what we've seen in the past year is fragmentation of audiences. And this isn't new to the industry. It's been happening for several years as different services and platforms pop up. Live sports just happens to be kind of the latest victim of that. And some viewers are very comfortable navigating streaming services and cable networks to find their games, while others are overwhelmed and just want to be able to turn on their TV and easily flip through the channels they want. For marketers, it means that they need to work harder to reach these avid sports fans while they're leaned in. And essentially, what we've seen in this past year is a growing success of sports shifting to streaming. With Amazon launching Thursday Night Football, they were able to capture a higher viewership audience than the NFL was in the years prior. For DirecTV ourselves, we've actually seen a 2.5 times increase in the amount of impressions that are on our streaming platform or available for marketers to buy based on the actual loads that are happening on sports.
I know in my experience, when I'm, watching men's basketball, I also have my mobile app, looking at my bracket, that kind of thing. But how have these changes in the past year affected the consumer experience that you've seen?
I think one of the things that we definitely know is that consumers like live, whether it's on traditional TV platforms or whether it's on streaming platforms. 70% of the US says that they like to watch live daily. And I think with that, you have to sort of embrace that reality that although there has been a shift in flexibility of streaming platforms, and there's still this desire to have accessibility within TV platforms as well. What we've done within the DirecTV interface is we've actually launched something called Sports Mode. And what that allows you to do is essentially go to your guide, look at the new sports, the live sports that are happening in that moment, the upcoming sports, have stats and scores all in that one place. But also, we've integrated betting as part of that aspect as well. We know that about 20 million Americans are using sports betting apps in various different forms, and we want to sort of embrace that consumer experience with a richer sort of depth than what we've seen before. And essentially, with more RSNs than any of the streaming services out there, we've become more of a home for sports, where we're seeing our streaming audiences spend roughly half their time watching live sports on our streaming platform.
That's really interesting. Now, I was hoping that we could flip the script and instead of looking at the viewer, let's look at marketers and what you see as the greatest opportunities for advertisers to reach these live sports viewers across platforms.
Yeah, whether you're watching live sports on traditional or streaming platforms, pretty much everyone's watching it on second screen devices. I mean, I can recall watching the final game of the World Cup as the curtain was coming up at a Broadway matinee play. I mean, it's one of those things where globally as well as within the U.S., avid sports fans want to watch where they want to watch, how they want to watch, and essentially that is an interesting area of the market that needs to continue to sort of develop. Whether that's a marketer reaching these audiences in a non-disruptive sort of way. We've seen creative development with snap out ads within live streaming broadcasts, where marketers could put their brand on some of the actual content that is being aired that's maybe not within gameplay, but within sort of changes of the matches, whether it's timeouts and various different aspects of the pause in sports. That continues to be an area to watch and develop. I think also the other area that we've seen is that in-game guaranteed linear and streaming impressions are really crucial for marketers to recognize. So as their sports calendar is being developed for the year, making sure that those games that are most desirable for a marketer to be associated with or be a part of, how they lock that up in some level of guaranteed nature, so that there is there's no inability not to reach those avid sports fans throughout the year. And lastly, I would just say, For marketers, it's how do you continue the conversation throughout the season. I know a lot of marketers tend to just focus on sports itself, but there are so many other different ways to reach that audience throughout the year that become critical in a marketing campaign.
I was hoping we could dig in a bit more into how advertisers transact with you. You see the growth in automation. So, how would you say programmatic factors into the way you monetize your inventory?
I mean, we want to provide the most flexibility for how marketers want to buy, whether that's through direct IOs or programmatic guarantee or in private marketplaces. Essentially, we know that marketers have different objectives. They have different agencies that they work with, and each agency operates differently in their comfort of how to execute programmatically. So I think that's a really critical sort of part that we've ingrained in our business model is provide flexibility to capture whatever dollars that want to be spent on our platform. And I think sports is no different from that. With DirecTV offering in-game live TV impressions across NFL, NBA, college football, NCAA, we want to make sure that those opportunities are available to all marketers wherever they see fit. In terms of evaluating SSPs, we want to partner with companies like Unruly, who really understand the various outlets to which marketers can actually buy content. And we also want to partner with companies like Unruly, where we actually have an education that can be done in market. There's various different things that are happening in this landscape, and it's crucial for us to be advocates in educating the end buyer of how to reach those audiences and what's happening within the sports landscape.
And finally, Matthew, is there anything that you're looking forward to this year that you think is important to tell our viewers about?
I'm really interested to understand and see the developments of RSNs and what happens within that space, particularly within the league stepping up potentially to acquire more of those assets, potentially moving them more towards streaming services, which will become a really interesting environment for companies like ourselves and others that are anticipating some growth within the sports streaming environment.